Okay, so we have signed our lease, we have paid our dues, we have paid our rent, we are getting the keys tomorrow. So I'm so relieved. Oh my god, this has been such a nightmare. Now we have to deal with a couple other things like moving. And by a couple other things, I mean like everything that we own. At least now I get to go into like the nesting period of it, and I really love that. I really love nesting. So today I have to go by my storage unit and find the packing tape that I had to make a quick exit from the last place that I lived, and things got a little bit chaotic. So I've looked all around the house for the tape here, and I can't find it. So I'm really hoping that it's where I think it might be in the storage unit. And we're also gonna make a pit stop at Walgreens. This is has nothing to do with moving other than the fact that I don't want to lug these around with me anymore. I have a bunch of old bottles of pills. And if you didn't know, you shouldn't just throw away your pills. There are a bunch of different programs that you can utilize to dispose of them properly. Walgreens being one of them. And so I'm gonna do that. It's actually, let me show you all of these back in here. So yeah, and that's actually a story that I'll probably end up telling in like a video essay maybe one day. But a bunch of these are pills that most of them are pills that I don't take anymore. Yeah, so it's just all part of the fun of being treated for a disorder that nobody understands. But long story short, I'm gonna drop off all those pills because I'm not gonna take them and I don't need them. So I'll take you along with me for that. Okay, let's go. Okay, that was so easy. It's nothing like putting off a task for months that was just actually so easy to do. It was great. All I recommend is that you mark out your personal information before you go there, because I forgot to do that. So like I asked them to borrow a marker, they let me, it was fine, but yeah, so super easy. By the way, this is what the little drop off looks like if you're ever looking for it. Hi, Future Jordan here. I wanted to provide a little bit of context for this next portion of the video. We had quite the adventure trying to find the place that we are currently living in, and actually it was the worst experience I've ever had trying to find a place. So, if you're planning on moving to Chicago, I don't know, maybe don't. Like, there's really low inventory, and the prices are going up. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous time to try to find a place, and I think I'm in a pretty lucky position. My partner and I were looking for a place together. I make an average salary for Chicago, and my partner is in the service industry with a dual income and over 2 months to find a place. I never imagined that we would be pulling our hair out the way that we were. We were even working with a realtor, which comes with its own benefits and a lot of challenges that I'm not even gonna include in this because it would be just such a delineation from everything I want to focus on. But you know, our realtor would like send us a batch of like 7 options, and we would like 5 of them, and we'd be like, okay, yeah, that's like a good number of options, that's great. But then you get into it and it's like, okay, these 2 are already rented. This one has mold, and that leaves you with 2. And you schedule tours for those 2. And you go see those 2, and you like one of those. Okay, yeah, that's great. It, you know, only takes 1. So, you know, you get your hopes up, and then something stupid happens. Like, we saw this place that we really liked the vibe of. Like, the vibe was giving grandma's house in like the best way possible. It had plenty of space. It was a 3rd floor walk up with window AC with coin laundry in the basement. So, you know, interesting that we were considering it despite the fact that it had all of those things that we were considering non-negotiables when we originally began this process prior to being beaten down by it. But, you know, at that point we were like, we love it! It's great! I mean, it had a dining room and a fireplace that we would never use, but it had it, you know? And the price. Oh my god, especially the price, man. So, yeah. So we had our realtor reach out and get us the application, and she got back to us, and apparently the landlord said that there had been a lot of interest in the unit, and so in order to keep everybody from having to pay the application fee, he was sending out a pre-screening questionnaire. And we're like, okay, you know, filling it out, whatever. Get to the last question, and it's so absurd I screenshotted it. I'm putting it on screen here. It reads, given the extreme interest in this unit, would you be willing to pay more than the listed rent? If so, what is your maximum monthly budget? So yeah, we had been warned that other tenants had been bidding up on apartments. Bidding up on apartments in Chicago. The timeline is so dark. How dare anyone turn their backs on their fellow comrades and bid up on a rental? Bonkers. But then for a landlord to straight up be like, I see you really want a place to live. How bad do you want it? I can understand more so from a tenant perspective, because maybe you as a tenant don't have a great credit and you make a good income so you can pay a little bit more. But for a landlord to be just like so overtly in your face greedy, ick. What's funny is a funny word for it. What's funny is we put the original price for the apartment as our max budget, even though that wasn't our max budget. But hey, why are we going to voluntarily tell you that we are willing to pay more for this apartment? What's even funnier than that is our realtor got back to us and let us know that the landlord wanted us. No, like at that point, no. It didn't feel right to move forward with that place. I don't want to knowingly enter an agreement with a landlord that does shady stuff like that. The price you put on the apartment
is why there are so many people interested. Nobody is interested in your third floor walk up with window AC and coin laundry in the basement for $200 more than the listed price. Like, it's just shady, and it's upsetting to me, if you couldn't tell. To save you the details of just how nightmarish this hunt was, I will cut to the chase and let you know that, you know, it's obviously we got keys to this place. Keep in mind, in this next clip here, I actually hadn't seen the apartment ever in person, because that's the other, you know, part of this nightmare is trying to schedule tours. My partner and I luckily work different schedules, so he had toured this place with me on FaceTime. And so now you get to see the footage of the first time that I saw this place where we live now.
Oh my god.
It smells like boy.
It smells like boy.
But not in a bad way.
Oh, so this might be a good time to interject really quick that this is not the moment of relief that we had wanted it to be, but not in a bad way. Copium, you sweet, sweet drug.
Oh my god, there's a boy here.
Ooh,
Are there any boys here?
So yeah, as we walked the apartment and realized the state of things,
Oh my god.
we were confused.
There's the kitchen. There's a big hole in the floor.
Concerned? Definitely concerned and disappointed.
Wait, I'm supposed to be getting your reaction.
I tried to keep it together and to stay positive because this had been built up in my mind for so long.
Wow.
But this was a losing battle.
Oh. This is not very clean. I'll be real.
No?
In there and like right on the wall here.
This apartment was not cheap. We ended up going for this building because it had everything we wanted. The location was fantastic, so close to grocery stores and public transit. It has a lot of accessibility features that I look forward to getting into in another video, including an elevator, but it does mean we had to stretch our budget. And this first impression had me second guessing if this was at all worth it. Scratches on every wall and all over the floor. The last tenant left a bunch of stuff, food in the fridge, like takeout containers in the dishwasher, his shower curtain.
The boy left his shower curtain.
That's why it smells
Outta
like
here.
boy. There was and still is a hole in the kitchen floor.
It
Alright.
does smell
Alright.
like boy in here. Done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, editing Jordan here. I just wanted to like pop in and mention that these things are objectively not that bad. Like, it's fantastic that we had a place to live. I hope that you can understand that with the context of everything else that has happened, why this would be so disappointing. And also, I feel like looking at the pictures on screen, it's like it's not translating how like unprepared this apartment was for other people to be living in it. So just keep in mind, you know, I had like more than just like the months of hunting to like look forward to this moment of having my own place to live. And I don't know, I'm scared. I don't want you to be like, wow, like you're complaining about that? Yeah, I'm complaining about that. It sucked. Okay, back to the video.
So yeah, we messaged them and they were apologetic. Unfortunately, we got the keys on a Friday and, you know, nobody's gonna come out on the weekend and do anything. And the place needed more than like just a deep clean. The walls needed to be painted, which they did do an awful job of. It took them a week to get the bulk of the things that needed to be done before we could even move our stuff in. You know, luckily we did have an overlap with our last place, so we weren't completely screwed over. But beyond an apology and agreeing with us that this was an unacceptable turnover, they like refused to compensate us in any way for the missed days. I don't know, kind of bonkers response if you ask me. This was just like the cherry on top of the Sunday that was our apartment search. So perhaps, you know, nothing better was to be expected if you want to be nihilistic about it. And I do, maybe. So yeah, maybe I'm still a little bit upset. But it's time to move on to the next chapter of this video. The moving process. I want to take you through the journey of moving with me because of two things. One, I like watching moving vlogs, and two, I want to share how F&D affects my daily life, and that includes the of moving. After all, moving is one of the most stressful experiences one is almost guaranteed to have in their life. So to top that off with tics and seizures, well, that's just gravy, baby. With moving, there's always a level of having to grin and bear it, and of pushing yourself through exhaustion and uncomfortable situations. It just comes with the territory. And, I'm a very stubborn person. I grew up with parents who were very do-it-yourself. But I do worry that perhaps my days of doing as much as possible DIY style is coming to an end. By the end of this moving journey, I was really questioning how it was that I kept it all together as long as I did. It was luck. I will say I got very lucky and with having such variability in my functionality. I was luckily on a hot streak for the first part of the month. It was my lovely partner and a wonderful friend who stepped up to help when I needed them most. I was standing in the back of the U-Haul trying to Tetris my belongings that had recently been rescued from storage when a bout of seizures came on. Now, I had the foresight enough to know that this could happen, but also recognized the task ahead of us. We couldn't really afford movers, so I knew that this was the option left. I tried to be stubborn and push through, as I like to do, but something about my head hitting the metal wall of the U-Haul gave my partner the ick, I guess. So I was lovingly banished to the passenger seat, where I proceeded to be very brave and definitely not at all upset about my perceived inadequacy. Maybe we should have got moving help. Anyways, I managed to get through the rest of the loading and unloading with minor issues. I rallied like crazy, bro. I'm still so thankful I did. My body could have easily taken a turn for the worse, but that didn't come until later. As nice as it was being able to take our time moving the last of our stuff in, it was so annoying having to go back and forth in our little Subaru to get it done. We had only paid for a U-Haul for one evening to get like the bulky stuff. Like the rest of it we knew we could fit in the car. It was precarious at points, but we did it. I can't say exactly what it was that shifted in me the last week of the month. It couldn't have been more stress because honestly I was way less stressed than I had been for the rest of the month prior. In fact, I was starting to feel really settled when my knee started consistently giving out on me. It's something I deal with as a symptom of FND. I've always described it as my knee giving out on me, sort of like when someone's messing with you and so they come up behind you and they knee the back of your knee and you just buckle. But truly, like, my brain just skips a beat as I'm walking along and my leg just kind of crumbles. I've fallen around 6 times in the last week. Luckily, none of those were particularly injurious falls, but it really messes with my brain. One minute I'm up, the next I'm on the ground, and everything feels unreal. But it is very real, and I know that. And luckily, so does my partner, because we still had to go back to our last place and do our fair share of the cleaning. Unfortunately, we both knew that since my seizures had picked up and I was unstable on my feet, that he would have to be the one to go clean up for us. And I'm so thankful that he was more than willing to do that. He did it without question. He was just, he's so wonderful. I'm very grateful for that. Over the last year, I've learned a lot about community, as this was the first year that I lived with roommates after living by myself for 3 years. I still really struggle with asking for help and letting people help me when I need it. My partner talking me down through the guilt of not being able to help clean is just an example of that struggle. As tough as it is, living with FND, it has forced me to learn to let people in, to let people help me. There is a vulnerability that comes with life as a disabled person. You have to rely on the kindness of others in situations you may not want to. But if I want to put on my rose-colored glasses and glean something positive from this, it's that life is much more full and much, much more rich and much, much more possible with other people in it. I need to learn to let go more. I need to learn to be much quicker to accept help when it's needed. The thing is I know I'm not alone in needing to learn this lesson. Not only are there other disabled people living a similar story, but this is like a lesson that applies to everybody. Solitude and disconnection are so damaging for the human spirit in ways that we just don't even recognize. So I don't know, maybe take this as a sign to reach out to that person you've been thinking of, and I don't know, think about it, what you actually need, you know? Is it a friend? Is it moving help? LOL, I don't know, maybe it is. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Please subscribe if you would like. I would like that. And that would be great. And be good. And if you can't be good, be careful. All right. Good night.